Breaking news from Major League Baseball. Max Scherzer is set to make his return from the IL on Tuesday against the Cincinnati Reds. The 8-time All-Star has been dealing with an oblique injury for over a month, last pitching for the Mets back on May 18th. In 8 starts this season, Scherzer has gone 5-1, posting a 2.54 ERA. The 3-time Cy Young winner is in the first season of a 3-year, $130 million deal with the Mets. And for more on this, let's bring in CBS Sports baseball writer Matt Snyder. Matt, first I'll get your reaction. Obviously, good news for the Mets as Scherzer set to make his return.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a big boost for the rotation to get Scherzer back. They've had Scherzer and DeGrom out for a big portion of the season. DeGrom out, obviously, the entire season to this point. To get Scherzer back, like you said, it's a shot in the arm, and they could really use it right now. They didn't exactly have a bad June, but they were just kind of mediocre. Meanwhile, the Braves went nuts. The 10.5 game lead went all the way down to 3.5 games heading into Friday. So much needed shot in the arm for the Mets when he comes back. Is
this one of those things that for the Mets at this point, you know, it's going to give them a little bit more stability? I mean, they've got Bassett, who's on the IL. You mentioned DeGrom on the IL. Going to get Scherzer back from the IL. I mean, Carrasco, Taijuan Walker, David Peterson really have been the guys that have been kind of stable. How much is this about getting just stability back in the rotation?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's a big part of it, is just having those guys that you can run out there, you can count on every 5th day. And, you know, the old saying is the momentum's only as good as your starting pitcher. Well, you have Max Scherzer now every 5 days starting on Tuesday. So that's a big deal. He still is one of the best pitchers in baseball when he's healthy. And I do wonder if this is going to be good for them down the road. Now, I know the lead's shrinking. You have to sweat it out a little bit. But it shows how much depth they have in the rotation. Once they get everybody healthy, you can kind of use that depth. You have some long relievers. You have some swingmen who can spot start at times. And at Scherzer's age, he will be 38 years old in less than a month. Saving a little bit of those bullets for September, October, not necessarily that bad of a thing.
I mean, Thursday, you know, like They've gone 13-12 in the month of June. So when you look at Atlanta closing the gap to 3.5 games, I mean, we're getting close to the All-Star break here. Is this more about the second half? How much confidence do you have for the Mets as they hit that second half of the season, given the fact they still have a 3.5 game lead atop the division, even with all of these problems?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely all about the second half. It's you know, he threw 4 2/3 innings last time in Double-A, 80 pitches. So he's not all the way there. Can probably work up to the 95 pitch range in his first outing off the injured list. So it'll be about getting everything right for the second half, like you said. And honestly, on the confidence part, I still would pick the Mets. I know that it would be kind of in vogue to pick the Braves right now, especially after the June they had, after the huge winning streak to start the month. Cutting the deficit from 10.5 games down to 3.5. It seems like everything's going toward the Braves' favor. But if you would have said at the start of the year, hey, heading into July, the Mets will have a 3.5 game lead, I would have said, you know what? I like the Mets' chances to hold on to that. I think they've banked enough wins early in the season. They held onto the lead through a lot of the injury issues, through kind of treading water while the Braves went crazy, closed the gap a bit. I like the Mets the rest of the way. I think they are going to win the division.
Certainly, he's given them some confidence. You mentioned his outing, the Binghamton Rumble Ponies, where he threw 80 pitches against the Class AA Hartford Yard Goats. Absolutely love minor league baseball and the names that they've got for some of those teams there. Okay, so when you look at this team from a balance standpoint, I mean, how do you expect them to kind of get Scherzer back in and not have him re-injure himself?
Well, you could piggyback him. I mean, you have several guys who are stretched out, they've used in the rotation. Somebody like you mentioned, a David Peterson type, where if you needed to, you could say, all right, Max, we're only going to ask for 4 innings this time, and we have a guy in the relief that's going to come behind you 3 innings or so, something like that. But I don't think that's going to be necessary. Like I said earlier, he got through 4 2/3 on 80 pitches last time out. I think he could work up in the 95 pitch range. He could probably go 6 innings or so. So you don't really need to handle him with kid gloves as much. I think he'll kind of be, you know, training wheels off by Tuesday. I think he's ready to go.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.